Most successful businesses care about quality, but soon New Zealand companies will need formal quality assurance systems to be able to trade successfully with many customers in Australia and the rest of the world. In this program, we're going to introduce the three main international standards we'll have to comply with. We'll look at companies that have become successful by implementing these standards and see why they sought quality system accreditation. Then, with the aid of well-known Auckland manufacturers, the Widget Brothers, we'll find out what can happen if you don't.
Widgets seller 4.
Auckland light industrial company, the Widget Brothers, was placed in receivership today. In a statement to the stock exchange, brothers Larry and Barry Widget said the company had been heavily dependent on major Australian orders which failed to materialise.
Any buyers of widgets?
The Australian customers had demanded evidence of quality standards.
Is it true that your products weren't up to Australian quality standards?
Absolutely not. In fact, our products were up to international standards. Right, Barry?
Exactly, Larry. It's just that no one believed us.
Increasingly, customers demand assurances from manufacturers that what they order is exactly what they'll get. Gone are the days of near enough being good enough. The catchphrase now is right first time. Manufacturers must be customer-driven. They must always aim to meet their customers' expectations. Printpack UEB was the first company in New Zealand to be formally accredited with a quality system. Printpack UEB sought accreditation because it could see this was the way the industry was moving.
Accreditation of our quality systems and those themselves being recognised standards would ensure confidence to our clients and that we could prove that we had in place the systems that would conform to their product requirements as far as the specifications of the products were concerned.
The New Zealand Dairy Board is firmly committed to quality assurance. As a result of its customer-driven approach, the Dairy Board now has a worldwide reputation for quality products, which has made it a market leader in places like Malaysia and allows it to demand a significantly higher price than its competitors in a number of markets. The Dairy Board's decision to favour accredited suppliers was very much a customer-driven one.
We're under pressure to compete in the international market. We sell to over 110 different countries, many customers in each of these countries, and they expect us to deliver what they've ordered, and they expect us to deliver it on time. And the way to do that is to make sure that we've got quality systems operating in the board.
One of the downstream effects of customer demands on the Dairy Board is that the board now demands that its own suppliers provide evidence of quality.
Well, we've introduced our supplier approval program to packaging and at this stage only to packaging. What it does is it says to packaging suppliers that there are 3 levels that they can attain. They could be a preferred supplier, they could be a standard supplier, or they could be just a backup supplier. The preferred suppliers are suppliers who have been accredited to the international standard and who also meet our performance criteria.
I find it encouraging to see industry taking this role. I don't think they have a lot of choice either. It's going to be demanded by their overseas companies. I think it'll apply to far more than the New Zealand Dairy Board. I think you'll see in a very short time New Zealand industry making these same demands of all manufacturing areas and service industries as well.
Many companies now seek quality accreditation. It provides manufacturers with formal documented proof that they have a quality system in place to meet the customer's needs. For the customer, it's a guarantee that the manufacturer can meet standards of quality assurance. Some New Zealand manufacturers have discovered the benefits of accreditation the hard way. Mascot Die Casters, a medium-sized Auckland manufacturing firm, have found it difficult to do business in the lucrative Australian market because they lacked a formal quality assurance system.
That knockback gave us the impetus to look at what we had to do to get into the Australian market. And to get into the Australian market, we had to get accreditation. And we have looked at and decided upon the ISO 9000 series, where we would be aiming for an initial accreditation in 9003 and then a final accreditation in 9002.
The Trans-Tasman Frigate project is further proof that quality systems are required here and now.
The Department of Defence in Australia requires companies to have accredited systems in place before they will issue work. They have that as a requirement in their tender documents. normally. In the state government purchasing in Australia also, they are now moving towards requiring quality accredited systems also.
When the Widget brothers started up in the mid-70s, quality didn't seem to be an issue, and they had a fairly basic approach to it.
Certainly is a lot of scrap, Larry. It certainly is, Barry, but we just take the scrap and pop it in the hopper. And the motto is, never mind the quality, feel the widget.
In those days, the Widget's customers didn't insist on quality systems, and Barry was only customer-driven in the sense that his customers had enabled him to afford his Rolls-Royce. Still, things were going well.
No probs, Larry?
No probs, Barry.
But what is quality? It's a concept widely misunderstood. Quality varies according to customer expectation. Take this Rolls-Royce. If you want a spacious car that provides luxury and prestige, then a Rolls-Royce is a quality car. If you want a low-cost, energy-efficient vehicle, a Fiat Uno represents quality in your terms, and the Rolls-Royce could be seen as over-engineered extravagance. When manufacturers meet customer expectations, they're doing their job efficiently. They're providing a quality product or service. Quality begins at the marketing stage when the precise requirements of a customer are determined, and it involves organising to meet those requirements. Quality is a matter of fitness for purpose. This process of identifying customer requirements is regularly worked through by manufacturers like Azia Brown Bovary, who manufacture electrical switchgear. Every new contract negotiation involves coming to terms with the quality requirements of a new customer.
Well, to reach the quality point that's demanded by the customer, we use a system of formal tender and contract review. This is a series of formal documented meetings which take place with all concerned to ensure that each process can meet the quality requirements. It starts firstly with the tender stage, and secondly, providing the tender is successful, we repeat the meetings with the contract review.
Azia Brown Bovary's experience illustrates that quality doesn't have a fixed point. It is the result of interaction between manufacturer and customer. A commitment to quality is the first step, but that's not enough. It's necessary to put into place systems which lead to consistent quality.
What we find is that many companies already have a lot of quality system elements in place, but they're just that, isolated elements of a quality system, often developed in an ad hoc sort of way to fight particular fires, to solve particular problems. We also find that certain individuals around the company know what some of these procedures are, but not what all of them are. So in the absence of key individuals, the company ceases to operate effectively until they return. Now, what quality systems is all about is just bringing all these diverse elements together and integrating them into a system.
Fletcher Reinforcing manufactures steel reinforcing for the construction industry, and they've introduced a number of different measures to improve quality. The lack of a basic system led to a lot of wasted effort and the need to review everything they were doing.
We had to go back to the beginning and start with the basics, build the systems, make sure that everybody within the operation knew what the other party was responsible for, have that well documented, people well trained. And it's only now that we have those systems documented, all of the parts interlinking and interacting, and people trained in what everybody else's responsibility is, that we're now able to take on quality improvement the way the Japanese tend to talk about it.
Milburn Enamelers is a small-scale manufacturing enterprise which has put quality assurance systems into place. They've found that quality assurance is not some abstract management discipline which requires specialists. Quality assurance involves everyone. It is simply applied common sense, and it can be applied in any enterprise, no matter what the size.
We did it ourselves in-house, and it mainly involved documentation and staff training. The benefits have been that we've reduced our in-house reject rate, and we're also using it as a bit of a marketing tool.
We like to use the analogy of a tower, one of these communication towers that is thrusting upwards in search of quality improvements. But that tower needs a solid foundation, a big concrete block underneath it, and that is the quality system. It is all these diverse elements of quality management integrated into one unified set of procedures.
It's not that the Widget brothers aren't interested in quality. They are, and over the years they've taken all sorts of quality initiatives.
Oh, good heavens, yes. Quality circles, quality triangles, quality squares. We've tried them all, haven't we, Larry?
Well, not to mention an awful lot of caring and sharing with the staff.
It's a bit like the smokestack the Widgets built in the early years. All sorts of quality measures were used in the tower itself, but it didn't have a decent foundation. Quality is like that. Unless you have the solid foundation of a quality system, the quality tower will fall. Quality systems are the foundations on which a company can build effective quality improvement measures. International standards for quality systems have now been developed which outline the requirements for independent accreditation to 3 different levels. The ISO 9000 series quality standards are now accepted in 26 countries and have been introduced to New Zealand as the NZS 5600 series and to Australia as the AS 3900 series.
The New Zealand Organisation for Quality Assurance approached the Standards Association and requested that we write a New Zealand standard for quality. We looked at the various ones available. There was a British one, Canadian, Australian standards. And at that time, the International Standards Organisation were writing but hadn't completed the international standards. By the time the New Zealand Committee had looked at all the standards that were available, the drafts for the international standard had come out, and we decided in New Zealand that we should go the international way. So we adopted the ISO 9000 series as our own NZS 5600 series.
The ISO 9000 NZS 5600 series have 3 levels, and most companies like Prinpack UEB find level 2 the most appropriate.
I think we need to say that with a level 3 system, the lesser level, if you like, all that requires is that a manufacturer or a service removes by inspection any substandard material. I think it's very logical to go to a level 2, which introduces systems into your manufacturing lines that prevent faults occurring, that ensure that you are conforming. I think it's a futile exercise to inspect quality into something after it's already been made.
The Level 1 standard accounts for only 3% of company accreditation overseas. Experience suggests few New Zealand companies will need accreditation to this level. Those that do usually have a high technology or safety element in their product. Essentially, the difference between Level 1 and Level 2 is that Level 1 includes quality assurance of a manufacturer's design and development functions.
The profit projection line does appear to be plunging more or less in the direction of a massive loss situation, Larry.
I'm afraid it does, Barry. But that doesn't take into account the new Aussie contracts we've been working on. So, no probs, Barry.
No probs, Larry.
Barry has worked out that the near-side Grunchians on the Australian frigate Staunchians can be manufactured by Widget Brothers, and he's sure he's got the contract in the bag. Meanwhile, Larry believes he's sewn up a huge contract to supply the Queensland State Government Stores Board with plastic spindles for towel dispensers. But the boys are in the marketing mode. They're not thinking about quality systems.
Marketing's the game.
Widget's the name. No probs.
Once a quality system is in place, a manufacturer may decide to have the system accredited, either as an internal management function or because a customer requires evidence of an effective quality system.
Accreditation is the process whereby some external organisations, such as Telart New Zealand, can come into your company and independently audit your quality systems against the requirements of the quality system standards. What we do is look at the quality manuals and the on-site application of those quality procedures on the shop floor. And if they're found to comply with the requirements of the standard, then the company gets accreditation, and this is a formal public recognition of their quality expertise. It's a sort of ring of confidence around the company. It says to customers, you can safely deal with this company because they've got a disciplined commitment to quality management.
Quality audits are not pass-fail examinations. An auditor's job is not only to find any non-compliances with the standards, they can also assist a company in identifying any necessary improvements.
I don't think an auditor is an examiner at all. You're trying to make sure that they know the system, that they're happy with the system, and that they are capable of working consistently within that system on an ongoing basis, because the system is going to change. The system's changing the whole time. People change, processes change, and you've got what we're doing on an ongoing basis is making sure that changes to the production process are reflected in changes to the system documentation, and that the system documentation still ties up with the requirements of the standard.
Well, the auditors are examiners in as much as they check thoroughly that you carry out exactly what you claim to be doing. But they're not examiners in the sense of they wield a big stick and give you a pass or a fail. They'll just tell you which areas you need to improve, and they'll give you a few hints and advice on how to make those improvements.
The process doesn't end when the formal documents are signed. Quality assurance involves an ongoing process of evaluation and change. At Fletcher Reinforcing's Auckland branch, the quality system is now responding to an ever-reducing number of customer complaints.
We are now into the process of analysing those complaints, trying to put together the common cause so that we can then go and work in there. So now we're sort of more customer driven. The customer's not driving us for accreditation or improved quality. He is giving us the feedback on our own errors so that we can further review and improve what we have already set up.
And what sort of people seek accreditation?
Well, one of my colleagues has been wandering the corridors of TELAC recently saying that quality accreditation is for the enlightened and the desperate. And we can pretty roughly categorise our clients into those two groups. The enlightened companies are those that are under no current pressure to seek accreditation, but they realise that it's going to be a business requirement, a licence to be in business in the future. And so they are moving into accreditation at a leisurely rate. The desperate are the ones who've just opened a tender document and found that it says don't bother tendering unless you have an accredited quality system. They're the ones who phone up and say, can you come and do an audit next Tuesday? They're the desperate ones.
Meanwhile, back at Widget Brothers, things are looking grim, and Larry and Barry now have to get the big Aussie contracts to survive. And they're just about to find that the Aussies want accreditation.
Widget Brothers? Have we been accredited? Well, as a matter of fact, yes, we have, Bruce. In fact, Larry got his higher leaving certificate.
And I was a Dux.
Doesn't count, you say?
We have to be accredited to an internationally accepted quality standard? Sure thing.
No probs, Bruce.
The good news is the accreditation people can do it.
The bad news is it's going to take 6 months.
You know something, Barry?
What's that, Larry?
I think we do have a prob.
Companies that want to remain internationally competitive are realising that guarantees of quality are important. The ISO 9000, NZS 5600, AS 3900 series standards can be seen as the school certificate of quality assurance. They provide evidence that basic systems have been put into place in specified production areas.
Yes? Yes? Oh, no. That was the bank manager, Larry.
Don't tell me he wants us to be accredited too.
No, but he does want us to be in credit. He's putting in the receivers.
Formal accreditation to one of these standards is not the only way of assuring or improving quality. Many companies such as Auckland's Regent Hotel and DB have taken quality assurance a step further and adopted various quality improvement programs. Taking a lead from the Japanese Kaizen approach and from quality gurus such as Deming and Duran, companies have put systems in place designed to improve the quality of what they do. These approaches have had a significant effect on the quality of products and services.
So that's all we have to say to the press at this stage.
A once proud Kiwi company has been brought to its knees by this outrageous insistence on accreditation to quality standards.
It really makes you wonder just what the world is coming to, doesn't it, Barry?
Yes, Larry.
But as we enter a new decade, accreditation is becoming increasingly important. Some manufacturers see accreditation as a way of formalising their commitment to quality. Others recognise it as the way of the future. Some have been forced to seek it by customer demand. By the year 2000, manufacturers without formal quality systems will be at a decided disadvantage. Of course, there are always those who won't bother. There's no law that says you have to. Some people never learn, but the Widget brothers did finally get into the Australian market. They were forced to find work in Queensland and ended up peeling prawns at the Pan-Pacific Prawn Processing Plant, Brisbane.
No probs, Larry?
Happy as Larry, Barry.
But that was until Pacific Prawn had itself accredited to Level 2 of the Australian Standard 3900, which, as any sensible Kiwi businessman in the 1990s knows, is the equivalent of the international ISO 9000 series standard, which is the same as our own 5600 series. This had a profound and unfortunate effect on the Widget brothers.